Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Your turn. Which side are you on? 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 Thank you all so much. And that part about if at first we don't succeed, we'll try and try again. Keep one thing in mind. We do get another chance to vote in a couple of years, and maybe a few more people will take advantage of that.
Winston, thank you very much. Professor Dan Wildcat is at Haskell Indian Nations University on the faculty there, as well as well known as an activist throughout this region and all the things that he stood for. So we're very appreciative that he can be here, and we've asked him to speak today. And so, please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Guess what? We're here to stand up, right? Stand up. I'm going to suggest that we've got an opportunity here to do more than just stand up, ladies and gentlemen. I think the power of standing with Standing Rock is palpable. But I'm going to suggest, in the brief comments I'm going to make before we recognize Orville Milk, and you've already met, his beautiful relative and granddaughter, and I tell you what, how moving to begin with Ms. Milk's statement and holding her beautiful daughter. I think a lot of us have felt kind of in shock, or at least certainly kind of beat up the last week. I'm going to suggest to you we've got an opportunity to draw on power that starts right here to enact change. And that's exactly what we need. There's an apocryphal story. Some of you have heard it. I say apocryphal because no one can tell you exactly when and where he said it, but the story goes, one of Einstein's colleagues one time after he escaped Nazi Germany was brought a problem at the Institute for Advanced Studies at Princeton. They said, look at this problem and give us your advice. And he says, well, I can't look at it now, come back tomorrow. So the story goes, the next day they come back and say, well, do you have any advice? And the story says that Einstein told them, sometimes you can't fix problems with the same kind of thinking that created them. How many of you are ready for a cultural climate change so we can address the real physical life system climate change we face? Yeah, that's where the hope is. That's where the hope is. And guess what? We have Lakota wisdom holders, we have Dene wisdom holders, we have Passamaquoddy wisdom holders, we have Lummi wisdom holders, we have Apache wisdom holders, and guess what? Their way of thinking didn't create the problems we are immersed in. Let's stand up and for the indigenous leaders who can play a vital role in helping us move forward. Who wants to stand up with me for that? See, I'm hopeful. We've got an opportunity. For all the people who want the pipeline, there's an increasing number of people who've heard that story and recognize they don't like the ending. So Dennis, I don't know if Dennis is still here, but he showed me, he bumped into me and he said, hey, look at what the City Council of Kansas City passed.
Yeah.
Just 2 days ago, they passed a resolution in support of the water protectors. So, you know, there's a lot that we can do. And so, I want you all to stand with Standing Rock, but I want us to consider, just consider, I might be wrong, I often am. My good friend Mervyn Tano always says, well, Dan, you speak honestly, but sometimes you're honestly wrong. Well, so be it. If this isn't useful, leave it or what? Just, you know, leave it behind. You don't have to take it with you. But I've got a suggestion. I think we should extend the front, if you will. Let's extend the struggle. And I think we should leave today no longer thinking we just stand with Standing Rock, but let's ask ourselves what it means for each one of us when we go home tonight to live at Standing Rock. Because in some ways, that's what we've got to do. We've got to take seriously the fact that we can demonstrate in our choices that not only do we not want the carbon energy they're trying to tell us we all have to have, but I bet we can figure out ways to live to show them that we don't need that energy either. Yeah. We not only don't want it, we don't need it. That, to me, is where all of us can do something to demonstrate what Standing Rock means. We do it where we work. I've made a proposal in an editorial in the Indian Leader. If you know, students, man, what support for young Native people. By the way, let's remember this. I don't know what the average age of the people on the front lines are at Standing Rock, but I will tell you this. I have never seen young Native men and women, many of them high school students, who've been making trips with very little money to go up there and take Pampers, take food, take clothes, take blankets, and then come back, turn right around, go up there, take the stuff, turn right around so they won't miss class on Monday.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. But I tell you what, Bill Tallbull, a Northern Cheyenne elder, I know some of you know Bill or have had the pleasure to hear him speak. No. Bill Tallbull once told me, you know, he says, we always talk about looking to our elders, but I'm going to tell you something. We look in the eyes of our children to see our future. And I feel pretty good about our future right now because young people are telling us they know what's been going on, they don't like it, and they're ready to change it. Thank you for our young people, and let's be good models for them of what we can do. Thank you. Thank you. So I wrote an editorial. I said, you know what? I tell you what we can do to support Standing Rock. I'd like to see Haskell Indian Nations University running completely on renewable energy systems in 5 years. That's not impossible. I didn't say it'd be easy. I didn't say, oh, you know, we're just going to go do that. No, that's hard work. That's really, really hard work. But if we can work in our institutions to show we all live at Standing Rock, what that represents, if we can do that in our homes, if we can do that in our community, I think there is good reason to be hopeful. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be really, really hard work. But guess what? Look around you. Look at people that are here. Man, I don't know what America some people see when they look out, but this is a beautiful America I see right here. Right here. It's beautiful. It's diverse. It's fantastic. That's the way the world is. Finally, I want to make room for Orville and give Orville a chance to share his wisdom. 3 points. I'm just reporting out. None of this is mine. I'm just reporting what I have had the good fortune to hear as I've worked with many, many wise people. Most of them not with letters after their names. Okay? From the Intermountain West, from the Northern Plains, from the Southwest. The first thing is I want to thank David Archambault and the leadership at Standing Rock for articulating that this struggle is not only about rights. When we reframe that in the proper light, what they are affirming is something most humankind seems to have forgotten. We live on this planet with not just unalienable rights. Those are meaningless if we don't counterbalance those with unalienable responsibilities. It's time for us to behave ourselves and recognize the unalienable responsibilities we have through the life we share this planet with. If we do that, we start to also realize that we don't share our lives among resources. We share our lives among relatives. Water is a relative. The wind, the air is a relative. These plants, these animals that surround us are relatives. Yep. And you don't treat relatives like resources. Maybe that's why they call the age we're going to live in, some earth scientists say, the Anthropocene. It's all about us, right? Wrong. That's what we've got to change. I think if we can do 2 things, if we can move from worldviews where we keep looking at everything around us as a resource and translate that into a view that sees the beauty in living among relatives, that's one. Then we can start to behave like mature human beings, and we can accept unalienable responsibilities we have. That's what the water protectors are doing. They're not up there to protest. They're not up there to get into a fight. They're there because they have no choice. They are water protectors exercising the unalienable responsibilities that they have and that they recognize. Finally, like all of you, I'm burnt out on any more discussions about sustainability. When every major corporation in the world now tells you they're for sustainability, I'm going like, well, maybe that's not so good. Because I don't think ExxonMobil and BP and I have the same notion of what sustainability is. Kind of what they want to sustain. I don't think we share the same vision. So here's what I'd like to suggest. Let's don't get caught up in someone always saying, well, you guys are just so negative. I've heard this for years about the South Lawrence Traffic Way. By the way, thank you, Thad, for mentioning the South Lawrence Traffic Way. I see folks here who stood in that battle against that. And some people say we lost. Guess what? We may have lost that battle, but I'm going to guarantee you the city and the county, in my opinion, will someday find out that may have been a Pyrrhic victory. It may have cost us more than we really realized. So we've got responsibilities towards those wetlands. Students are still enacting those. So everyone will say, oh, you're against this, you're against this, you're against progress. I'm going to suggest to you this. I know something I think all of you would be for, and I hope you'll join me in this. I don't like to be couched as against progress, so I want to stand for something. I want to stand for water, I want to stand for land, I want to stand for air. Elder once told me, there is a natural law. He says it's the land, the air, and the water. And he says, guess what? If you violate those, the penalties range from illness and disease to ultimately disrespect for the land, the air, and the water can result in a death penalty. That's pretty wise. That's pretty wise. So what are we for? I'm for trying to live my life in a way that is life-enhancing. It's not about progress. It's not about convenience. It's about how can we live our lives in a way that instead of destroying other life, we can enhance the life systems we're a part of. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. We all live at Standing Rock, and we can all struggle in our daily lives, where we work, where we pray, where we live, to enact life enhancement, systems of life enhancement. Thank you, water protectors at Standing Rock, and thank you all for being here. There's lots of work to do. We've all got plenty of work we can do, right? Let's get busy.
I have a short-term goal that you could all help me accomplish. I'd like to get all of you in one picture. So if you could all squeeze towards the middle, we're going to make it look like Woodstock.
Dan, why don't you go up there?
No, don't, please don't take your clothes off. I didn't mean Woodstock that way.
Get one.
And while you're doing that, you're going to keep warm, or if you still have room to clap, give yourselves a round of applause for coming out today. It's beautiful. And you see, I brought out the paparazzi. It must have been a good idea. Everybody say cheese.